I also went and saw Captain America, the new Captain America Brave New World movie. It was interesting. I thought it was actually good. One thing that was absolutely crazy to me was the overwhelmingly negative response that certain people are having online. It's super weird because the places where you would normally go to find reviews of movies, you'll basically hear nothing but hatred. YouTube, people making videos on YouTube, they're hating on the movie. Critical reviews, they're hating on the movie. Even like the IMDb score and like the Letterboxd score, those were all bad. The only place where the movie was getting a positive review was actually on Rotten Tomatoes, where it has like an 80% or something. But I was like, this is wild. Now, for my part, I gave the movie a 7 out of 10. My review is don't pop zins or you'll turn into the Hulk. Watch the movie and that'll make sense to you. But the one thing I did notice actually is if you go to IMDb and you go to the Captain America page, a lot of people actually kind of have rated the movie in the same way that I did. A lot of them have also rated this movie about like 7 out of 10. It's actually the most likely thing that people are to vote this on. They're most likely to say, oh, this is 7 out of 10. But what I noticed was there are a lot of like 1 out of 10s. So to me, like, these could be trolls. Usually you don't see, like, unless the movie's absolutely horrible, which this movie is not, you don't see like tons and tons and tons of like 1-star reviews. Kind of crazy, I think, and it doesn't match the distribution at all, because usually like the distribution will be at one point and then from there you'll see the ratings like branch off. So let's say this movie is actually horrible, then you would actually probably see like a lot of 3, 4 and like 2-star reviews around this 1-star review. But really all you see is just like this big jarring thing of like 1-star reviews. So I think that people who are thinking about watching this movie, they should consider that this movie is not as bad as the haters are making it out to be. I think the haters are sort of blowing things out of proportion. Now, is this a great movie? No, but if you wanted to see a great movie, you'd be going to the theaters and watching like a A24 film, okay? Like, come on, let's be honest here. I think the movie was good. I don't really want to get into spoilers. I will say that I don't necessarily like how the new Falcon character, who was Torres, by the way, not Sam Wilson. I don't really like how he was positioned in the third act. I didn't mind the humor. I think this had some of the greatest like Marvel humor in like recent years, because people complain about like the Marvel humor a lot, but the humor in this movie actually felt very, very organic. And I want to say that Anthony Mackie has some history in playing comedic roles or being in comedic films. I could be wrong about that, but I was watching the movie and I was like, oh, this actually almost feels like Anthony Mackie like kind of took the reins on the humor here, because it doesn't feel like the way most of the humor is written in the MCU. I liked that. I think the action set pieces were fine. They were well done. Now, I will say, to be honest, I have never really been the biggest fan of the Falcon's suit in general, so I don't love Sam Wilson's Falcon suit as Captain America. I don't know, to me it's like it feels impractical, because it's like, oh, why not just give him a jetpack and he'll have a smaller profile? You can't like clip his wings or anything. And one thing that's actually kind of cool is that he has like an aerial suit, which is white, which has the wings, and then he has like basically like an earth suit, which is like blue, and it doesn't have the wings, but it does have a jetpack. So I thought that was kind of cool, because at one moment he used it in a fight scene, and I thought it was really neat. I was like, that's cool, because I think jetpacks are cool. But I think the plot was fine. There were a lot of villains in the movie, which I think might throw some people off. I know some people it threw off, but still it didn't really throw off the people that I watched it with's enjoyment of the film, because at the end of the day they really got down with it, and they were big fans of it. So but yeah, it's not nearly as bad as people say. I think if I had to give the movie major knocks, I think I'd have to give the movie major knocks on how the dialogue was handled in some moments, because the way they did the dialogue for certain moments, I think a great example of this was in like The Forge, where there's this main character, and she's in a barber shop, and her sister stops by to visit, but we don't really know who she is. And so as soon as the sister comes in, she's like, "Oh, I love it when my sister comes to visit me." And it's like, "Oh, okay. So you're literally just saying this so that we know that they're literally just saying that just so that we know that this is sister. This is just exposition." That's sort of like ham-fisted in a realistic scenario. And kind of they do something similar in Captain America Brave New World, where it's like, "Oh no, this is what the villain wanted," when like we spent the last 15-20 minutes establishing what it was that the villain wanted. It's just like and there were like a couple of the moments like that, but they were very, very minor. Like honestly, this movie was fine. It's one of the better movies that the MCU has come out with lately, and I think it really shows that Marvel's on the come up. If this is like a trajectory, we're starting at a really good point here, where it's like these movies are kind of bad, they're kind of mid. Now we're moving back up with Captain America Brave New World. I'm still very, very excited for Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts looks like it's going to be the best Marvel superhero movie of the year. We'll see how Superman is, but I think that movie looks better than Fantastic Four. That Fantastic Four trailer was not a great trailer. I'm shocked that there's so many people online fawning over it. It does nothing for me. And why is Galactus so small? I don't understand. I know this is not supposed to be a general Marvel video. I know I'm sort of rambling here, but yeah. Anyways, Brave New World's fine. I gave it a 7 out of 10. You know, you're gonna have a good time if you just sit back and accept the film for what it is, rather than expecting it to be the best movie in the world. It's not nearly as bad as all the rumors made it out to be at first, where it's like, "Oh, it bombed test screenings and stuff." Like, I don't understand why it would have bombed those test screenings with this particular version, unless they wanted something a little bit more creative, because it does borrow a lot of themes from Captain America the Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War, like a lot of like story beats and stuff with like who the villain is or villains are and things. So maybe that's it. But honestly, it's like, man, if you're making the same thing over and over again, I don't understand why you're gonna hate on it as long as it's still good, you know? So yes, they copied their own homework here, but you know, at the end, I think it deserves an adequate grade, so I rated it appropriately.
Said in the chat, Red Hulk carries the film.
I disagree with that. Red Hulk was great. Well, yeah, Red Hulk was fine. He worked better in the movie than I thought he would based on the trailers. I hated every moment of him being on screen in the trailers for some reason, even though they ate with every single one of those trailers. But
Said in the chat,
I do agree. He was great in this film.
Disney should stop hiring middle school kids to do the work and hire actual writers.
No. The movie was actually fine. It was actually fine. You should go watch it. Also, Julius Ona, the director of this movie, there were some good directorial choices here. Like, there were certain shots. Now, I think a lot of those shots were from the reshoots, but there were shots that made like great use of like space and contrast. There's like this one moment where the main character goes to this particular place to speak to a specific villain who he just captured or just had contained, and the way they did the shots were like incredible. There's like this shot where they're basically in a tunnel, and so there are no lights over them or in the tunnel, but it's like open and it's like sunny outside, so it's like super bright behind them. It's extremely backlit and they're just shadows, and it looks amazing. And I'm like, when would you have ever seen an MCU property with cinematography like this? Never. So I thought that was really cool. There were some creative choices with the directing there. I do wish the whole movie was in IMAX scope though. I appreciate how many moments were in IMAX scope, but I was like, why don't you just put the whole thing in IMAX scope, man?